we were asked to think about some of the challenges to us right now, though, and I was going to branch in a slightly different direction and talk a little bit about some of the other challenges that in the way of the political environment right now that are facing investigative reporters, which I think are that we're still feeling the kind of the pressures from 9/11 in many ways. There's still kind of a sense that there's a fear factor out there, and it allows the government still to invoke national security at times to cover up embarrassing or just politically negative stories, and we've seen that the Obama administration has invoked it at times when people have been surprised that they have too. They, I think they're an improvement certainly over where we were, but there's still a ways to go. There's a shield law that's being discussed in Congress right now, and I think it's vital, but it's surprising to me to see that even some of the best Democrats, like Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who's a senator from Rhode Island, is trying to carve out a loophole for national security stories so that reporters will not have shield law protection for those. If it is so vital that really many of the most challenging stories are national security stories, and our sources are under so much pressure for talking to us as it is that I think really reporters need to be protected so that they don't have to dime out who their sources are. I have one who was dragged in front of a grand jury, lost his security clearance, had to hire expensive lawyers. He was in jeopardy of losing his job, and he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't tell me anything that was some kind of national security secret, but he had to go through all of this nonetheless, and it's incredibly chilling to the reporters. It means that I can't get those kinds of people on the phone. I've alienated them by writing things sometimes, even if I've been really careful. I've ruined their lives. And I have to say, I just had lunch with Thomas Tam, who was the whistleblower in the, who went to James Risen at the New York Times with sort of the first tip on the idea that there was some kind of domestic surveillance program that was not going through the FISA court. And, Tam was a lawyer in the Justice Department. He got fired. He's now he's just kind of cobbling together legal work in the suburbs. And his dream, he told me his fantasy was that somehow the Justice Department would hire him back again. But there isn't that kind of whistleblower protection, and nobody in Congress is kind of making this happen for him. And so I think it's all part of, again, this national security environment that makes it very difficult to work in. And one of the offshoots of that is sort of a wonder of the biological world, which is there are vertebrates in Congress who have no backbone, and we've had to deal with them throughout these past years. And the problem is that you get, because they're not doing the kind of oversight and holding the kinds of hearings that maybe had been held in the past, you get what a colleague of mine named Mark Danner has described as frozen scandals. The press will break some great story, and then nothing happens, So you don't have follow-up from Congress. They're not hearings. People are not brought in. I always say I have subpoena envy. I can't subpoena those people. It takes a Congress to do that, and they haven't been doing it because often they're very defensive and afraid of what will happen if they are seen to be pro-Al-Qaeda or whatever the possible slur is. So these are some of my thoughts on what's going on with investigative reporting.